hands. Watch the screen as you do. These are incredible.
All right. How many of you were ever told don't play on the stairs? Okay. Let me back up. Stairs are a thing where I'm just kidding. No. Maybe you were told not to play on the stairs. And there's this thing that we're going to talk about a little bit tonight. It's you should have known better. Say you should have known better. Turn to the person next to you and tell them like you should have known better. Okay, because here's the deal. Here's the deal. We were seniors in high school. On the last day of school, say you should have known better. Because here's the deal. In high school at Ida Baker, we were not allowed to jump off the stairs. Did you know that? Did you know you're not allowed to jump off the main staircase in the middle of the school? Did you know that? Now, some of you didn't need to learn that because you already looked at that staircase and was like, that'd be stupid. And you'd be right. Say you should have known better. So I had a friend on the last day of high school decide, I don't care what anyone said. That looks like fun. And despite the amount of times that kids who had tried to jump part of the stairs and gotten yelled at by a teacher, right, or slid down the railing before somebody told them to stop, right, as many times as they had heard that, the last day of high school, one of my friends decided to jump off the staircase as his finale in Ida Baker history. And boy, did he make history. I don't remember the extent of his injuries, but I know he didn't walk away. I also know that they did not let him walk for graduation either. And so that was a big deal. Say you should have known better. Now, come on. How many of you have had that conversation where you had an adult, a leader, an authority figure in your life go, gosh, you knew better. You should have known better. I've told you, I raised you better than that. Right? You've heard something like that. All right. Now, here's the deal. There are a million things that you have heard that are the right way to do things, and yet we still do the wrong things, right? Yeah, it's hard to end wrong things, right? It's also hard to say turn left, right? It's confusing. But it's hard to do the right things even when you know they're right. Because there are scenarios where we just do what we should not have done despite somebody telling you. I can remember growing up, my parents were very healthy. We ate very healthy. We drank carrot juice regularly. My waffles were made of organic substances that never looked like waffles. It was bad. It was all around bad. And I just remember going to my grandma's, eating like a box of pizza, drinking 2 liters of soda, and spooning sugar out of a jar, and getting so sick to my stomach that I remember being in elementary school, sitting in the bathroom with a stomach ache going, God, I'll never do it again. Forgive me. Right? Just like I knew better. And somehow, even though I knew the right thing, I did what I shouldn't have done. Sometimes we do things the worst way. Like you were told the right way to do something, but you do it the way that you've always done it, even though the way you've always done it is slower and worse and bad. And one of my kids, he we'll explain to him, we need to clean up. This is the pile of things you need to clean up. And what he will do is in fury, he will go to the pile and he'll take one thing and he'll walk it back to its place. Then he comes back to the pile, takes another thing, and will be like, hey, bud, you can take multiple things that are all going to the same place. He agrees. Yeah, that's right. That's right. We're going to use that for every part of this. How many of you have done something the worst way before? Like somebody told you, you should do it this way, and you're like, I'm just going to do it whatever. Okay. Like recently, well, never mind. Okay, so we've been there. Sometimes we were told the right thing, and then we forgot the right thing. Have you ever forgot what you were supposed to do? And I think any of you that didn't raise your hands are lying, because I know you've sat in a class, and I know a teacher gave instructions, and for whatever reason, you were paying attention so hard, but all of a sudden, you realized that the last 10 minutes of your teacher talking was just thoughts of like what you're going to do when you get home from school, and you missed exactly when they were like, all right, we're going to do that for the next 20 minutes, and you go, crap. And then you turn to the person next to you, you're like, what are we supposed to do? And they were in the same boat as you. They're like, I have no idea. So you convince the person behind you who was paying even less attention to be like, what are we supposed to do? You're like, idiot. But there's times that you knew what you were supposed to do and you forgot what you were supposed to do. Or sometimes we know the right thing to do, and I love this. I think about sometimes I know the right way to do a chore, but I prefer a lazier way to do a chore. And it comes back to bite me when it takes me twice as long because I have to make up for the mistake. Now, this is real. Like last week I was having a conversation. A bunch of the leaders were at our house, and I was telling our leaders, like, hey, don't rinse my dishes. I'm going to put them in the dishwasher. Don't even worry about it. Don't rinse it. The dishwasher will take care of it. Now, here's the deal. The dishwasher did not take care of it. And you know who had to take care of it? Me. Scrubbing, right? There's that moment where I was like, I knew better. I know. You guys are so excited. You were right. This was just my confession. Right? There's things that we know the right way to do it, and we end up not doing it the right way. You knew better, and you should have known better. And we still did it the wrong way, the lazy way. We missed it. And here's I think, the reason. Because if you know, you only know. Now, I know everybody goes around and they go, if you know, you know, right? If you know, you know, they say that. But here's the deal. If you know, you only know. Let me say it another way. If you know, you know, but you only know. You know what I mean? Here's what I mean. If you know something, that doesn't mean you're going to do the right thing with it. If you know, you only know. And you still have a decision to make about whether you're going to take what you know and do something with it. See, here's the deal. So many of us know so many useless facts about the world. Like, I know that you know a million things, not even from school. You can't even blame that on school. You spent your free time watching stupid videos, learning things that you will never need to know. You're like, how does a spark plug on a 1983 mower work? Let's find out, right? Like, and you just watch the stupid video of things you will never need. Just because you know something does not mean that you know what to do with it. Just because you know something does not mean that you will do the right thing with it. Just because you know something doesn't mean that you will apply it. And here's the thing. We know more things than anyone in human history has been able to know. Like, I'm pretty confident. I'm going to make up a statistic, and somebody later will be like, I'm pretty sure that was right, and that's fine, okay? But I'm pretty sure, like, we encounter something like, I think it's 10,000 brand images a day or brand communications a day, right? So you have something like 10,000 interactions with a brand a day. You don't recognize 99% of those, right? You're not walking around like Adidas, Nike, Vox, love Vox, right? You don't do that. But subconsciously, you are interacting with all of these things. You're bombarded by information daily. And because you have it on your phone, and because everybody around you has stuff on their phone, and you have computers, and you have access to the internet, and your parents have access to the internet, and you have the TV, and all the writers of the things on TV have access to the internet, there's information overload. You know so many things that people 200 years ago had no idea, right? Like not that long ago, people were like, yeah, man, I'm pretty sure if we ran into that forest, we'd find a unicorn. And you know, hopefully a little better, that that's not likely. I know I broke some of your hearts. But here's the deal. You know so many things about life. And yet, how many of you could look around, not at yourself, but at the people around you and be like, they do some of the stupidest stuff? Right? You look around at your high school and you come back and you complain. You're like, the people in my high school are idiots. Right? Like you look around on social media and you're like, oh my gosh, every person that I see online right now is so stupid. And here's the thing. We know so much, but it doesn't matter if we don't apply it. If you know, you only know, but if you don't apply it, it means nothing. And we've been in this series called Made for More, and I'll tell you, I was telling the leaders, this series makes me giddy on such a nerdy level. Like I love the book of Ecclesiastes. It's so existential. It's so it's so depressing, almost nihilistic. It's everything somebody with a philosophy minor dreams of, okay? I love it. That was a weird flex. Okay. I love the book of Ecclesiastes. I've enjoyed teaching it, but can I be honest with you? It doesn't matter if we don't apply it. Like we've just spent, just so you know, 9 weeks going through Ecclesiastes, breaking apart every single thing that he argues. And listen, you've heard it. You've heard parts of it. But it doesn't matter if we don't apply it. And Solomon, 3,000 years ago, set out on the quest that all of us try to set out on, whether you know it or not. What is life about? What's the meaning? Why am I here? What am I supposed to do with myself? We all try to figure out that question. We're all looking for what's the answer to what am I supposed to do? And Solomon sets out, and he does it so much better. He does it excellently. He said, maybe life is about being wise and having the right answer and the right response to everything in the world. And then he said, listen, I've watched some stupid people have great lives, and I don't get it. So maybe wisdom isn't the right answer. So then he goes on and he says, well, if wisdom isn't the answer, then I'm going to have as much fun as I can. And I'm going to do whatever I can to have as much fun as I can. And he has an insane amount of fun. And then he goes, gosh, if I'm honest, spending that much time and energy on having fun is actually draining and depressing. And I'm just as empty as when I started this. And I know most of you are sitting back going, you're not doing fun right. And I promise you, he did it. And he goes, listen, I just tried like having as much fun as possible, cutting off all obstacles, and still just didn't do it. So then he goes, maybe what life is all about is achievement. And he did it. Good night. We're 3,000 years later reading books that he wrote. He has 2 books in the Bible. He has at least 2, probably 3 books in the Bible. Bible being one of the most read books in human history. His books being some of the most read books in the most read book in history. Right? Like, listen, if anybody made it, it's our boy Solomon. Like, if anybody accomplished things, like it's Solomon. Changed nations. Right? Like, he's changed the trajectory of the world. And he died a long time ago. And he accomplished all kinds of things. And even then, he said, listen, accomplishing things, it's dope. It's awesome. I enjoy this. I have fun with it. But at the end of the day, I'm going to die, and I don't get to enjoy it. And in fact, I'm going to do stuff, and I'm going to leave something behind, and my kids will wreck it. And literally, that's what happened. Solomon created Israel's greatest empire. So Israel has never been bigger than it was under Solomon's kingdom. And literally the first month of Solomon's son as king, Solomon's son ruins the whole kingdom. He splits it in half. It's war forever, right? Like it took him like a month to ruin his dad's entire life work. Listen, you could spend your whole life on accomplishments, and Solomon's like, man, that didn't matter. And then he goes on and he's like, maybe if we spent life just finding balance, just finding a perfect balance, maybe if I find the balance to life, maybe that's it. Maybe if I just get all of my habits in check, maybe if I get all the relationships around me going smooth and perfect, and Solomon just ends up finding out that you have zero control over things outside of you. And the likelihood that you are going to mess things up for yourself, on top of the fact that other people are going to mess things up for you, on top of the fact that there's chaos and sin in the world that is going to mess up even more things, means that you trying to hold life together is a doomed experiment from the get-go. And Solomon goes, I have all the resources in the world. I'm the richest man alive. I'm the smartest man on this planet right now. I have the biggest kingdom. And guess what? I can't control things. And then he says, well, maybe it's just about getting as much money as I can. And so he just continues to amass wealth, and he starts trading, and he starts these huge he owns trade from everything from East Africa all the way to like Persia and Middle East, and he just controls trade coming through Israel. Man makes bank. And he goes, man, this is useless too. And then he says, well, maybe it's just about doing whatever I want. Maybe it's just about getting away with whatever I want, or maybe it's about doing the perfect things all the time. And he just goes, man, that doesn't work either. Listen, he has tried everything. And he comes to the end. In Ecclesiastes 12:13, he says this, that's the whole story. Here now is my final conclusion. Fear God and obey his commands, for this is everyone's duty. Final conclusion. I tried everything. I did everything. I did everything that you could pursue. I did everything that people could build their lives around. I did everything that the greatest people on the planet have sought after. And he says, I've failed. I've watched them fail. They will all fail at finding meaning here. Here's the ultimate conclusion. Fear God and obey his commands. Now, here's the deal. It doesn't matter if you know that that's true if you don't do anything about it. And listen, we've had 3,000 years for people to read those words, know those words, and still not do anything about those words. We began this summer with a prayer and a hope that as we worked through Ecclesiastes, that God would destroy some of these things that the Bible would call them idols. They would say that these are things that we worship, like gods. Like we religiously worship these things. And you know it's true. You know people who worship possessions. You don't have to go far. Like if you found somebody who had really nice shoes on, and you said, I like those shoes. Almost immediately, you can tell if they worship the shoes or not, based on the response, right? Like, actually, no, man, these are not just shoes. These are these are Yeezy 350 boosts, and right, like they go in. They have the conversation. I want you to know these are the only pair of shoes I know by name. So, yeah, I want you to know before I got these shoes, I didn't know what Yeezys were, okay? That's real. I won them in a competition, and one of my friends was like, "You won Yeezys?" And I was like, "Yeah, man." He's like, "Do you know what they are?" And I was like, "Nope." And he was like, "You should give them to me." And I knew enough to be like, "Nope." All right, so, listen, but can't you tell? Can't you tell when somebody just loses their mind over shoes, right? And you go to their house, and they have like a shoe closet. There's like nothing else. It's sacred space. It's just a wall, racks of shoes, every color under the sun. I had a friend in high school. He worshipped clothes. I just remember we were near the end of the school year, and he flexed so hard. He goes, "I want you to know, I've not worn the same outfit once this whole school year." And I was like, "I wear the same thing every day. Like I don't understand how you're pulling this off." We're like end of the school year. He was like, "I've never worn the same thing twice to school this year." And I was like, "How?" And I promise, and listen, here's the insane part. His shoes and shoelaces and bracelets matched his outfit every day. It was so excessive. You know what's funny to me now? It's funny to me now because I see him out in public and he's like gym shorts, t-shirt, man bun, and that's it. And I'm like, that's not what you used to be, bro. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. No, but there was like, you can tell when someone has an idol, and listen, all of these things can become an idol. And I just want to share tonight that you know, every single week in this series, we've gone to the conclusion. Every single week we've said, hey, if you ever thought that all God wanted you to do and what all of your life was supposed to be about, no matter how you slice it, if you thought that your life was just about what you could accomplish while you're here, and that if you worked super hard and accomplished everything to your capacity, that would be a meaningful life without God, you'd be wrong. We said something like that every single week to every single one of these. And can I tell you, every single one of those will come back and say, I could be God in your life. Every single one of those things. Money will come back at some point and say, listen, I could be God in your life. And if you had money, I'd take care of you. And entertainment will come back and say, listen, if you made me God in your life, you would never be depressed again. If you made me a God in your life, we would have fun every day and you'd never be sad. Wisdom will come and say, listen, if you just learn and learn and learn and learn, I'll take care of you and you'll never make a mistake and you'll never have to be ashamed. You just have to make me your God. Like all of these things will come up. Sex will come up. And it'll say, listen, if you make me God in your life, you'll be happy. You'll have it. Every single one of those things will come back and say, listen, if you make me God, I'll serve you. And every single one of those things will capture you, bind you. It's okay, guys. He spilled a drink. That's it. That's it. That's it. Hey, give him a round of applause for being a servant. He's cleaning it up. Clean it up. It's for you. It's for you. Yep. Yeah. All right, but stay with me. We should have known better. We shouldn't have brought open drinks and I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. All right. Now listen, every single one of those things will call out to you at some point and say, listen, if you make me God and if you serve me, I'll take care of you. And Solomon said, listen, none of those things will be meaningful. None of those things will satisfy. God alone. God alone. Jesus says this in Matthew 6, verse 33. He says, seek the kingdom of God above all else and live righteously, and he will give you everything that you need. Seek first his kingdom above all else, live righteously, He'll give you everything you need. Solomon said it. Fear God and obey His commands. Sometimes I hear that word fear God and I cringe a little at that. You know, because we don't talk about fear in the way the Bible talks about fear, and so 95% of the examples you have of fear in your life are not how we're supposed to understand the Bible's use of fear, right? So you think fear, you think American Horror Story, you think Halloween, you think the chainsaw guy at Mike or at Gator Mike's, you know, like you think of something there, right? But in our time of prayer before Vox tonight, we were reading in Psalm 19, and it says this, and I love it. I don't have the verse, but because we were reading it together. But it was Psalm 19, and it says, "Fear of God is pure." It's pure. Fear of God is pure, and it endures forever. And I love that because it balances, it defines, it helps us understand what the fear of God is. Fear of God is this honor and respect and dignity that we give to God. It's when we put Him in the place of honor and we say, God, you are greater. You know, the reality is that God is all powerful. And it's just incredible. He created the universe out of nothing. The Bible says He sustains the universe. Can you imagine how much energy it takes to sustain the universe? Like to make sure that at every second the universe holds itself up without collapsing in on itself. God is that powerful. He's that amazing. He's that large. He's that vast. He's that incredible. And yet still, sometimes we're not impressed. Can you imagine can we just agree, even if you're not in awe, how insane it is to not be awed by that? Like, even if you're not emotionally moved, can't you just grasp with me how insane it is that not even that would move us? Like the God who is powerful over all the universe, and still we would sit back unimpressed. But the Bible says, fear God, revere Him, honor Him. And we have this God who is vast, who's large, who's over all, who brought you into this world, hoping that you would follow everything He's laid out for you. And you and I still push back. Knowing the right things to do, we still do the wrong thing. Knowing the right way to go, we still go the wrong way. Knowing what is right, we reject God. And what's even more insane is that on top of that, God Himself decided that He would humble Himself and He'd come down on earth and He'd live a perfect life. He would obey all the commands and He would die in your place. And He invites you to follow after Him. Do you know why? Because His ways are perfect. Hey, stay with me. I'm almost done. If you got your phone out for any other reason, put it away. He invites you to follow after Him. He says, do what I do. I did it first. I did it better. I did it perfectly. Follow after me. And so many of us would rather instead know the right thing to do and do the wrong thing. Do you know what we call those people? We call those hypocrites. The people who know the right thing and they do the other thing. We call those people idiots. We call those people stupid. You know what? Those people end up being some of the most judgmental people you meet, aren't they? Because they know the right thing and they can see it in your life, but they can't apply it to themselves. Listen, none of you want to step into that, but isn't it true that every time we know the right way and we don't do it, we are those things? But Jesus comes and says, listen, follow me. Follow me. And I'll wipe away everything wrong. Follow me and I'll bring meaning into your life. Follow me. Trust me. Seek first my kingdom. None of those other gods will satisfy. None of them will lead you in the right way. So here's what we're going to do. We've spent this whole summer looking at all of these things, but my heart is heavy that you would understand. My heart is heavy that you would understand that that these things might still tonight have control some way in your life. And I want to give you an opportunity to reject those and find some freedom. And some of you tonight might need to take a moment and just say, God, I need to put you first. Y'all stay with me. And so I want to invite you. We've spent the whole summer hoping that God would defeat things that are enemies to your soul. Spent this whole summer hoping, looking at wisdom, but it means nothing. If you know, you only know. So do something with me. Stand up. Come forward. We're going to play a song. I want you to search your hearts. I'm going to come back. Begin to ask God, do any of these things have a hold in my life? Are any of these things God's in my life? Or God, are you first? Let me pray for you. Father God, search our hearts, even the hidden things. Your word says that our hearts are tricky. They're deceitful. They lie to us. And sometimes we think we're good when you know that we're not. So, Father God, I pray that tonight you search our hearts. You open us up. We don't want to just know. God, we want to respond.